Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another live stream here at my YouTube channel. Tonight I'm going to be playing with my stencil that just came out this last month in March. I'm going to do something a little bit different with it. I know a lot of you have been loving all of my big, huge stencils that you can use to create two card fronts at the same time, or two A2 pieces at the same time. So I wanted to show you something a little bit different that you could do with your stencils. And you could do this with any stencil set, anything that has a pattern that goes edge to edge and fills in all the color, like a background color and everything. I think you could do this with a lot of different stencils you might have in your stash. But today I'm going to be using let me make sure I get this name right, the Big Day Birthday Stencil Pack. So I hope you guys will love this. I think it's a really fun idea and you could adapt it to a bunch of different things. Let's jump into the overhead camera here so that we can get going here. Like I said, this is the Big Day Birthday Stencil Pack. And I'm trying to think, what do I need to do here first? First, I need to get some 5x7 cardstock because we're going to do all of our stenciling on this one piece instead of the card front. Actually, I probably could do it on the card front. No, we won't do it on the card front. I'm going to heat emboss the sentiment. Sometimes that can warp the paper a little bit. So I think it might be worth it to do it on a loose piece of cardstock versus a folded note card. So let me grab my grip mat here because we're going to do some stenciling. We need to have this ready to go. In fact, I kind of feel like it's probably going to be up here in this corner. All right, I have 5 million ink colors picked out for tonight. You're going to die. How many other? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 colors of ink. I have the Leaning Tower of Concord and Ninth ink right here. Here are all the colors. And that is because I'm going to take a rectangle of the stencil design. I'm going to split it into 4. And then we're going to be stenciling different sections in different color palettes. I've tried to simplify it just down to 2 color palettes that still work together. I've never done this. We're going to see how it works out. Okay, I better make my Leaning Tower of ink pads a little bit shorter because I could just picture them falling over while I'm working. That would be terrible. Okay, so before we get to the actual stenciling part, I'm going to do some masking. So done a little bit of calculations. What I want to do is isolate this cupcake on the design. So I want to make sure that the cupcake is in the center of my design. And I also want to give the card a nice big border. So I'm actually going to give it like, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch of a border, but I'm masking it off. And because this tape here is actually more like an inch, I'm just going to eyeball it. Let's hope we get this right. That looks about right. I can kind of see a little bit of a ghost of the edge of the card right there. Hopefully you guys can see it. That's about what we want. So I'm going to try to get about that much hanging off the edge off the top as well. And I'll come down this one side too. And then when it comes to how far from the bottom, I'm actually going to measure up about 2 inches because I'm going to put my grading down there. I want to have a nice big open area down at the bottom. So I'm going to grab my ruler here. Do I have the pencil handy? I do. I have a pencil. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of measure up about 2 inches. I'm going to just put a little mark on I might as well just use the edge of the ruler, right? And then that's where I'm going to put my masking tape. Post-it tape, I should say. And I want to make sure I don't get any color past this down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little more down here. Okay, so now we have this rectangular open area that we're going to be using. The other thing I need to do is I need to mark the center of the card. So once again, I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to just go from the edge We need this 2.5 right here. And I'm going to measure. I'm measuring just from the edge of the cardstock. And then 2.5 right there. I'm just going to keep that in mind. And I'm going to eyeball this area. I don't know. I didn't measure it. I'm just going to eyeball. That looks about center. I don't know. Whatever. All right. I'm going to take, what we're going to do is isolate this top section up here. I'm trying to figure if there's a better way to do this. No, I think this is the way we're going to have to do it. Okay. Actually, maybe I'll do this right here first. Okay. And we're only isolating, actually, I don't want to waste that. We'll do the full thing. Okay. Okay. So we're only going to work on this section right here for the first one. Okay. Let me get out my stencils. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually not going to use this stencil for anything, but I'm going to use it to kind of envision where that cupcake's going to end up. And it looks like, and I kind of want it like this center line. It's so hard to see right now. I'm so sorry because it's all white on white. But I want it to intersect this center line on the cupcake and split the candle in half. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to stick this down to this side. And then to make sure all of my stencils line up, I'm going to take one of these center alignment guides from Altenew. And I'm just going to put it up here in this top corner. And I have a second one of them right here. I'm just going to put this one down here. And hopefully that'll be enough to get all of the stencils lined up just right. All right, I'm going to peel up this stencil now. We're not using this one. We're going to be using the other 6. But I wanted to be able to see where that cupcake was going to be for all of the positioning. So, in fact, let's start with the background. I guess I could have also done it with the background. I'm going to start with the background. I'm going to line it up in this bottom corner. Well, really this whole edge here. Okay, that's going to hold it in place. I'm really going to have to hold it down with my fingers on this side to make sure I've got a good grip on that. All right, I'm going to take my blue brush and Midnight ink. Got my ink pad, my ink stand ready to go over here. And just because I'm paranoid and using a big, huge brush, I think I better hold some paper or something over this other area. You know, I should have used a different color of Post-it so I could totally, hold on. There we go. That'll cover it. All right. So now I can just come in here and start stenciling. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush actually, because I really want to get in these little tiny crevices. I want to make sure it gets all of that, all of those little. I'm totally stenciling the Post-it tape. You guys, this white on white thing is gonna drive me crazy. That's okay, whatever. I'm like, why is it not looking right? Girl, you're stenciling the Post-it tape. That's okay. That's why the Post-it tape is there, right? At least it's not going to go down to the project. I'm like, wow, this is a really big area. You're stenciling the wrong area, girl. Okay, let's see here. Making sure going back and forth in different directions. Okay, that's all we need for that. And you'll see where I was stenciling the tape. I'm like, what? Okay. All right, I'm going to go on to the next stencil. Let's do this one. So this is probably not going to really show much on this little quadrant that we're working on, but okay, so that's that first quadrant all finished. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to peel up this right here. I'm going to save this Post-it tape because I can keep using it. Since this one's already on there, we'll just slide this over. Okay. All right, so now we're going to switch to the other color palette. I've decided I'm just going to have one color palette up here and one down here. And then the second color palette will be here and here, if that makes sense. This looks. Oh, that looks so cool. Looks better than I thought it would. I love it. Okay. Just peeling up all of this masking tape. That looks really, really cool. I love it so much. Here's what the actual design turned out to look like. I think it looks kind of cool. Okay, what I want to use is this greeting right here, because it's just going to keep it really, really simple and just be down there at the bottom. On here the best I can. And centered, straight and centered. That looks about right. I'm going to use an anti-static powder tool. Well, flustered. There we go. And then because I am going to be doing gold heat embossing, I'm just going to use a gold pigment ink because then I can actually see what I'm stamping. And this is such a itty bitty greeting. I want to make sure I get it stamped well. All right, so I can stamp it a couple of times. Very gently pressing down on the stamp. Okay, I'm gonna remember to turn my fan off. There goes the fan. So that I don't have embossing powder freaking out and going everywhere. I would know that. Happened more than once. Okay, I'm also going to try to avoid getting the powder onto the inking because that ink is definitely not fully dry from all the stenciling. Oh, it does look really nice. That's really beautiful, like embossing. Worked out beautiful. Okay, so there is basically the finished card design. I just need to put it onto the card front. So I think, as you can see, I am not shy with the foam tape. I think I saw, I think it was Allie asking about me possibly teaching at Craft and Create. Maybe someday, I don't know. I have taught for that event in the past. I taught it for a different company though. I taught it for Mama Elephant, but it is a really fun event. Okay, look how fun. Love it. That turned out really well. I feel like you can't really see. Yeah, there we go. You can see how it's popped up. Things I like about this design that I think work really well. This is really busy. I knew doing the 4 different quadrants, like masking them off, would present a particular problem, which is where to put the grading. Because most of the time when I have used this stencil or stencils like it that have a lot of imagery going on, lots of colors, when I've used those in the past, I want to just put on a nice big grading, a die with a shadow layer on it, really make the grading pop and stand out. But it would cover up all of the fun, like the whole point of the technique, So I decided, let that shine, do a little tiny grading at the bottom. That's also why I decided to shift up the masking. Instead of having it masked, equally on all sides of the card, I wanted to give a nice big white area at the bottom so that I would have plenty of space to put the grading. So I hope that kind of explains my thought process of how I came to this card design. It was intentional. It was purposeful. I did it on purpose this way. It wasn't an accident. I hope that makes sense. I thought I would try to explain it a little bit. Anyway, I think I used all 11 ink colors on this card. Yeah, was there 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. Yeah, no, there were 11. Anyhow, this is the finished card for tonight. I really love how it turned out. It's so super colorful. I think you could actually just pick a color palette of 6 colors, but then just change the background on each one and then mix up the colors you use for each of the individual image elements. I think you could do it that way too. You could do it with the reduced color palette and it would still work. Anyway, thanks so much for watching today. I will see you all in another video very soon.